Hello, this is Scott Loomis, and I'm here once again to do another one of my If I Was videos. And today's topic, if I was an elementary or middle school music teacher, I would use Wixie to do the following. Number of neat things you can do with Wixie for music instruction, both in the elementary and middle school level. And a lot of people say, oh, Wixie's that classroom thing, and especially your teachers will try to opt out of any kind of training orientation. They go, oh, no, I need something specific just to music. But you know what? There's a lot of neat things you can do with Wixie music, and we're going to cover those today. So let's start off with the first one. I want to introduce you to the teacher ecosystem within Wixie. And right now I'm in Wixie. My presentation here is running in Wixie, but I'm going to move out of the productivity part of the program and move into the teacher ecosystem. And this view is unique to teachers. Students don't see anything like this when they log in. I wanted to point out two things that you can do or that are available within Wixie for any teacher, whether they be a second grade teacher or an art teacher or music teacher. The first is that from your account, if things are configured properly, and you can contact anyone from Tech for Learning for assistance if that's not the case, but you should be able to see every single classroom in the building from the Students tab. Again, student work is saved automatically into their Wixie account. You as their teacher can automatically see their work, actually leave comments and do other things for it as well. So if you have access, which you should, to all classes in the building, if you were to assign a template to a class or grade levels, you'd be able to see their work by selecting that particular class. Here's 5th grade, for instance, and then looking at their work that they've completed. The other nice thing about Wixie from this teacher dashboard is the activity tab. And under the activity tab, you have the ability to look at a number of pre-made templates. And the big one that comes to mind, I'm going to move down to the curriculum library and even to templates, is there is a music scale template, one that can be used as is or modified to better meet your need. And that music staff template is here with the scales and the staffs at the beginning. Now I'm going to return back into Wixie. Again, this is the view that the students see when they log in. And I'm going to open up my project, which is this awesome first one here out of all the greatness I've created. Here it comes. There we go. And return to the page I was on. Obviously a little bit of navigating back and forth, but again, there's the student side and there's the teacher side, and you get to access both. So we've already talked about here the introduction to Wixie and the fact that, again, you can see your students under the Activities tab. You can go look at projects that we have available for you, those templates, or even once you modify them, things that you have available that you've created. And get into what you can do once the students can do once they're in Wixie. First, there is a music folder of stickers. Basically, our stickers are clip art. I'm going to go to the library tab in the upper right-hand corner. I will select stickers. And although I could do a search for music, I could, music's the top folder, so alphabetically, math, mind maps, money, there it is, music. So under music, you see 3 subfolders: instruments, notations, and jukebox. Let's start with notations. What's wonderful about the scale, and this is just a screenshot of the scale template, is that the notations fit this scale. Students can actually use the different notes to compose a song. Now we're going to get into audio recordings in just a minute. The kids can then record themselves playing the song. So whether that be a recorder or an instrument, whether it's used as an assessment for quarterly improvement or whatnot, I mean, a lot of rich opportunities for the kids to do things, and I think creating original songs and then playing it on an instrument is fantastic. You can see we have the whole kind of spectrum of different notes and repeats and the rests and whatnot here. So the tempos and whatnot. So the ability to draw in is just fantastic. And then on the flip side, there's an instrument folder. And the instrument folder covers a lot of what we would see, the more common ones, not necessarily the more exotic ones. You can go get those, bring them in from other programs. But we got banjo and cymbals and cellos. Euphonium. I understand the euphonium and the tuba are pretty much the same sticker. You just resize it to make it smaller or larger. And again, I should preface that, although I taught elementary and middle school, I was never a music teacher. So these are just assumptions I'm making based on the available resources that made work for music instruction. So come on down. There's the recorder I talked about up top. We also have the tambourine, obviously they're in alphabetical order, and the viola and violin down here, as well as the xylophone. Right? So fantastic in what you can do with the stickers. Now, I did talk about the next one I want to talk about, the recording tool. Basically, for each page of your Wixie project, and again, you can add as many pages as you want. I've already jumped to page 5 in my project. you can add a single audio recording with a maximum length of 5 minutes. So that's 5 minutes on this page, 5 minutes on the next page, so on and so forth. And when I start thinking about what kids can do to creatively demonstrate their knowledge, and again, I want you to move away from bulleted lists or simple, bing, bing, bings, but as far as information goes, and have them apply the knowledge more meaningful. Then you can totally tell your administration, your supervisor, yes, you do activities that are 21st century, that infuse rigor into the instruction, and have them do something meaningful with their knowledge. What type of things would that be? I think a lot of cases when let's start at the bottom, maybe as far as grade levels go, we'll start the lower grades and move up. If you're working with like 3rd and 4th grade, you're probably doing instrument development, recognition, and whatnot. And I think one of the neat things you can do is have the kids pretend to interview an instrument. And here I've stuck a couple eyes and a mouth on a violin, and I could do a multi-page Q&A. Hey, Mr. Violin, my name's Scott. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions? No, I don't mind. What would you like to know? Well, is it true that you do this? Is it true that you play this, that you use your fingers, or whatever kind of criteria you expect from them to share that is unique about that instrument? Instead of just listing it again in the bulletin list, they can do that bulletin list as a pre-writing stage, and they interview it. And whether it's a woodwind, a percussion, obviously a brass instrument, and that's just fantastic opportunities. I also think as you get up a little bit and you look at your general music classes, now more middle school type stuff. I mean, and here's an example, by the way, of writing it and playing my own song, which I did here. But getting into general music, I mean, there's no reason why you can't, interview Joseph Haydn. Hey, Mr. Or pretend to be. The kids can also pretend, hi, I'm Joseph Haydn, and I was born in Austria in 1732. And you go on and talk about, he tells about, or you tell about how great of a composer you are, how you really were the kind of the father figure of chamber music, such as the, involving pianos and trios and things like that. And, you can set up some type of rubric or checklist. You must pretend, while you're pretending to be that composer, you must include this information. And I know that not only could you do composers such as Haydn, but you would also do instruments from around the world, maybe world music or multicultural. These are a bunch of horns from Nepal, and it could be about what's unique about those instruments from around the world compared to what we see that's more common here in America. And then, even when you get into 7th and 8th grade, you do types of music genre. So you could do a news report as if you were talking what's special about jazz, what makes jazz awesome, and they can do that report with a recording. And whether it be that or the blues or pop or whatever it is, you could have them do more of a newscast towards it. And also I look at big events. There's nothing that would prevent from kids from doing like a come join us at, and then put it on the school website and say, looking forward to the 17th annual spring concert. We know this year that the orchestra in particular plans on playing some tough pieces or whatever. Again, that's almost a news report or an advertisement type opportunity. So the kids can really get motivated by doing some neat creative work when it comes to using the record tools, and that list kind of goes on and what you could do with that. And I don't think there's any really limit to what you can do with the creativity, as long as you have that in mind when it comes to, all right, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to not do bulleted lists, but I'm going to do the recordings instead. So I'm going to move on actually a little bit and talk about, okay, you've done projects in Wixie. They did involve recordings. How can you get that video onto your website? And really quick from the send menu, I wanted to point out that you do have the ability to export. You can export image files. So if you want to export a full page of your music, notations again, or your song or whatnot, you can do that. You can also export it as a flash video for a website, for instance, HTML, or even an EPUB file. That's more of a Mac thing where you use your fingers and turn the pages as you go. And there's a little speaker on each page so you can play the recordings per page as it goes. So it's not automated like a flash video. So you can easily use one of these export options from the send menu to export your project out of Wixie if you wanted to. The other option within Pixie is to print, and this would be pretty cool too. The nice thing about printing is it does have an elaborate, it does have a handful of number of layouts like table tents and booklets. I love things like comic books or booklets or even postcards, which allow for some sequential project. So they could talk about the evolution of maybe, for instance, a violin or a brass instrument or even percussion. And they could do multiple pages within Wixie that would then print with these specific layouts. You don't divide the page or anything with lines like a comic book. You actually just go ahead and make separate pages in Wixie, and it puts them into that format. But the big one that I wanted to talk about is trading cards. Oops, I slid away from it there. It doesn't allow my repeat page right now because, as you can see, I have 6 pages. But if you have a one-page project with the trading card, you can actually go ahead and have it so that it'll print 9 trading cards or baseball card size documents per page. And this is on James the Giant Peach. This is a novel character, but I started thinking you could do trading cards on instruments again. If you're not going to do the recordings, you could do it on your different composers. You can try to get a little class set of composers. Maybe they could even sort and sequence them or put them in different groups based on attributes that they believe exist, and then use, whether it's even a piece of paper and writing or a Word document or a document here in Wixie, where they go ahead and explain or justify their thinking why each composer is in the groups that they've created based on whatever evidence they feel like sharing that's of value. Same can be true for vocabulary words. I think of the different I played percussion for a number of years. I played drums, and the quieter and softer. And I'm not going to even try to say the words because I'm going to butcher them. But if you wanted the kids to do vocabulary words and the different symbols or language or whatnot that they would see within songs, that could easily be something you do, like in general music, for example. And then, of course, we talked about genre like jazz for the recording. I think opportunities for explanations or overviews on different genre trading cards could be something as well. And again, the value of the ability for the kids to trade and get a class set. A couple things you need to see from this one. And first, I wanted to point out that my project has been saved. When you make a small change to your project, I'm going to move this a little bit, the white cloud appears, and all by itself, if I do nothing else, it'll say saved every 20 or 30 seconds. If you would like to force the issue, so to speak, you can click on that white cloud, and it'll go ahead and say saved. You kind of initiate the save. But I'm going to wait just a few more moments and hope that I've done enough to initiate a save. And if it doesn't, I'm going to get impatient and just click on it here, which I think I will. I'm going to go ahead and click it there, and it'll process saving and then saved, and now we go. So if students are done with the project, they simply need to close out of Wixie. There's no time needed at the end of a lesson to save to the right folder on the server or save to their account someplace. It's really efficient in how you can use Wixie during your time with the students. So the last thing I want to do is return back to the home section. The point of this one was to provide ideas, not necessarily detailed ways to in which you can use Wixie or how the tools and features work within Wixie. And I wanted to point out that all of those step-by-step direction type things are here under the Training tab within the Teacher Dashboard again. First thing you see when you log in. When I click in the Training tab, there is a tutorial. Basically, you get to retell a story as if you were a student and you were going to make a project on where the wild things are. So that one you can actually open up as a PDF or even print and just follow step by step in about 15 or 20 minutes and make a project. But as you have specific questions, students can do the interview with an instrument in partners. So you and I are partners. We decide we're going to interview the trumpet. We create a storyboard of the Q&As. I then do all the questions on my Wixie account. You do all the questions or the answers, in your Wixie account, and we share them with each other. So here's how to share projects and how to import projects. So I would get all of your work, and you would get all of my work, and then we would reorganize them so that we have a complete Q&A conversation. So there's easy ways to do that right now. There's also rubrics and assessments. And we could easily get into stickers here as I move down and how to bring in the different images and objects. There's objects, for instance. It's going to select a sticker and move it around and manipulate it. But the notations fit the scale by default, so they shouldn't have to resize the notations when they go into the scales. So the Training tab is completely or utterly important. All right, so with that, kind of wrap it up, I'm going to put my contact information up again. As I said, my name is Scott Loomis, and I work with Tech for Learning in the Mid-Atlantic region. If you have any questions, any follow-ups, any conversations, or you have a student sample that you'd love to share, I know I would easily share with my colleagues, if you're not from my region, would love to see it. So please don't hesitate to contact me. Here's the information again. And thank you very much.